Do you remember Robin Salo and how he started the year with the New York Islanders at the NHL level? Well, he's no longer at the NHL level and hasn't been for a while. So how is he doing at the AHL level? At the start of the season, we thought the number 6 spot on the Islanders' blue line would be bandied between Sebastian Aho and Robin Salo, right? One of those two guys would get it, depending on the night type of thing, and eventually the younger guy, Robin Salo, would get it as his game progressed. Well, that wasn't the case. Now that we're in March, we know that Robin Salo hasn't been with the NHL squad for some time now, has been playing at the AHL level since November. So how is he doing at the AHL level? Well, I think the nice way to put it is fine, I guess. There's no better way to put it. When you look at his stats here, 7 points in 23 games. It's really 22 because they're playing the 23rd one as we speak. They're going into the third period with a 3-2 lead against the Charlotte Checkers. But he's got 7 points in 23 games, and that's not necessarily great, right? When you look at his return last year, 20 points, 40 games. Down here, if you're just not seeing it right away, that's a half point per game. 7 in 23 is not half a point per game. That's about just under a third point per game for Robin Salo at the AHL level this year. So just looking at that specifically, things aren't going that well for Robin Salo at the AHL level. And when you dive in maybe a little bit deeper, because you can't go that deep with the AHL, they don't have like Corsi, time on ice even, at least publicly, expected goals, all that extra analytics we have at the NHL level. They don't have that at the AHL level. So there's very little data that we can use and analyze with. But when we see Robin Salo's last couple of games, so his last 10 games, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3 points in those 10 games. That's not ideal, right? Again, that's basically, like I said, a third point per game. And then when you look at recently, he's got 4 shots in his last, 6 games. 4 shots in 6 games for Robin Salo, who's an offensive defenseman. He's not going to be peppering the net with a ton of shots, but the fact that he's gone 4 games until recently without a shot on net just tells you how implicated he is in the offense. It's just not that much. And that's a struggle for someone like Robin Salo, and that's the meat and potatoes of his game, is being on the offensive side of the puck, dragging the puck from the offensive zone and into the defensive zone and into the offensive zone, creating opportunities. And he's just not doing that frequently. Just getting the chair settled here. So things aren't going that well for Robin Salo. And then when you look at his these are my advanced analytics when I'm looking at NHLE, for example, and I've got it highlighted here. His growth from last year has plateaued. So he went from 27-point NHLE when he was playing full-time at the SHL level, and then last year 16.65 NHLE, and that's kind of to be expected because he didn't play, or he played a lot of games but didn't put up a lot of points because he's a young man playing with the New York Islanders, who are quite stingy defensively, or offensively, I should say. So the points just weren't there, and he didn't get a lot of ice time. But this year, where he's getting a lot of ice time at the AHL level, it hasn't grown, right? Barely. 16.7, just barely an extra 5% growth from last year. That's just not enough. He should be doing much better based off of his skill set, or how to try to frame this. He should be doing better based off of what we expected from him. And maybe that's not necessarily fair to him, but based on our expectations for Robin Salo going into the year, he should be doing better than a 16-point NHLE at the AHL level. And then when you look at Robin Salo's offensive point share and defensive point share, you can see he's very much just borderline average. So this graph here is from my friend Sean O'Brien, who's amalgamated the data to show an offensive and defensive point share for all skaters. And when you isolate just for the Bridgeport Islanders defenseman, you see that Robin Salo is right at the corner of average. Offensive point share 0.131 and defensive 0.615. Just third pair defenseman. It says it right there. Third pair defenseman at the AHL level. That is not ideal for Robin Salo and the New York Islanders. there isn't a whole lot of season left for him to turn this around. And so he might still do it, but it's clear that he's going to have to go into Islanders training camp next year with a whole new lease on life if he hopes to get the number 6 spot for the Isles in 23-24. Because as it stands now, I don't think he would get it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the button. And if you have already or are just going to click it now, thank you, thank you, thank you.